Hi, I'm Annie Botticelli, and this is the Storyteller Forecast for Pisces for February 2018. Go check out my Astrology Apprenticeship Program, which is enrolling now, and my new blogs at anniehelpsyou.com. For your new monthly written horoscopes for each sign by me, go to cozybysweetstarlight.com. So what's going on in the month of February? We continue this open window for pushing things forward. However, we do have quite a few mischievous transits that could cause uncertainty or blocks with us trying to move forward, but there is still lots of good energy for moving forward. We've got the highlight of the month in the form of the solar eclipse at 27 degrees of Aquarius on February 15th. It is so important to note that even though many people will receive some eclipse-related news or something notable happening on the 15th, that eclipses as an astrological event are different than eclipses as an astronomical event in the way that from the astronomical perspective, they happen on one day. From the astrological perspective, we're moving through a long period of time from the beginning of 2017 well into 2019 of the influence of this cycle of Leo Aquarius eclipses. So really movement or events on the Leo Aquarius front in the houses that are activated for each sign can happen during any time in 2018, or the first half of 2019. But the odds are increased that there will be notable occurrences the closer we get to this, the web that is most affected by this eclipse. So I usually use the 4 to 6 weeks as a guideline, but I myself just in this week as I was recording this had a manifestation that's very clearly a manifestation from this solar eclipse that's on February 15th. I had a showing of that in the middle of December. So 8 weeks and even possibly more you could be seeing things, but definitely it starts heating up this 4 to 6, even 8 weeks beforehand, where the likelihood of things coming into your very obvious spectrum are increased. You know, that's what we, astrology is a science, and so I look at it, even though there is, of course, an intuitive component, which is the art of astrology, there's a scientific component of astrology, which shows us probabilities. You know, it shows us possibilities and then an increase in probabilities based on certain factors. So that's what we get around eclipse time, is an increase in the potentials that we're going to have something notable happen. And something that we're missing from the general transits that you get to watch is we don't know how that's hitting your own planets unless you have more of a knowing of your chart. So if you're having an eclipse on or in a critical angle to one of your personal planets, then it's going to be amped up for you too. So I'm calling the theme of the month for Pisces, radical new insights and directions. And while it's true that yes, everybody is going to have an increase in likelihood for radical new directions, this piece of these deep insights I'm placing here for Pisces because of the activation of the 12th house from the solar eclipse. If you want to understand more about the lunar eclipse, which is on January 31st, the lunar eclipse eclipsing things out, bringing completions, endings, coming to fruitions in big ways. Watch my January report for your sign because I go into details about that eclipse and the possible effects for you. This month, we're going to talk about this solar eclipse and the possible effects for you. So what happens when you have a solar eclipse in a 12th house? Okay, so the first thing to note is that every time we have a new moon, there's a new opening. So there's a cycle yearly where every time the new moon is in a certain sign or a certain house, it highlights a certain area of life, okay? So we have that going on. But then when you have a solar eclipse on a new moon, it's like a new moon in triplicate. So it's like the potentials, the outcomes, the influence of the event can be magnified 3 times. So either there's 3 different events, which often happens, you know, that saying things come in threes, that's astrological for a couple of different reasons. This is one of them. So there could be 3 different showings of new energy. Or there could also be one thing that's as powerful as if it were multiplied by 3. So all placements, early, middle, and late degree, will have this event occur in the 12th house. For you very early degree placements, so if your birthday is at the beginning of the sign or your rising sign is in the first few degrees, then even up to, it wanes a little bit as you get higher in the number, but those first days, you might have this manifestation in the first house, but you still have just as strong as the potential to have it in the 12th house because that's exactly where it is. So, the 12th house is your deep subconscious mind. It is the place where we sweep everything. It's the attic where there's treasures and dangers and disgusting things and, everything that we kind of don't want to deal with gets put in this 12th house. It is also, for that reason, a house of psychology. Spiritually, it's a house of the all that is, so the place where we're all one, the connectedness. And we are connected by an energy field that connects us to everyone and everything. You can't see that, but this is the house that shows that energy of our, like you touch a spider web or throw something in a lake and it ripples out. So this energy of how we affect everything and everything affects us, the Akashic records, past life things, karma of all kinds are energetically in this house. This is also the house of dreams that we have at night. So lucid dreaming, reading your dreams, learning from your dreams, dream journaling, working with your dreams consciously, anything that has to do with past life regression, hypnosis, using your subconscious mind consciously is your 12th house. This is also the house of, back in the day, the words that we use to describe some of the astrological areas are kind of a little bit foreboding, like this house is called the House of Confinement, so it is actually the place where we are trapped by our own thoughts and perceptions. And sometimes it does have to do with institutions or places where people are contained, but it also can have to do with the energy of how we trap ourselves in our own thought field, and we can't get out of it until we change it. So all of these things are in the 12th house. So you've got newness in any of these things. So new focus on psychology, new focus on past life, new focus on dream state. Your dreams might become more of active or vivid or notable. You could focus on breaking free from your mental constructs. This is also a house of addictions. So addictions could come up in a notable way where you're trying to turn over a new leaf. And this is one of the greatest placements for an eclipse to be, to resolve an addiction of any kind, getting help, starting something new. And again, the stars are really nice and open for that too. It's always a good time to get help. But there's definitely a lot of energy where you can follow through with things at this time. So consciously using the energy for any of those things is excellent. And as I called the title for you, Radical New Insights, there is a very high probability that you'll have this new way of seeing things. This insight that comes to you, and maybe it was there all along, maybe people were saying it, maybe you were hearing it, maybe you were thinking it, but it comes in where you have this visceral experience of it, and all of a sudden it becomes different for you, where you have an awareness. Wow, I have to do this. I am this, I have to do this. Or, wow, I have to stop doing this. So something really pivotal that can be a long-term thing can come in this time, coming from an insight that you have. It could come from something that seems just psychologically housed within your own recognizance, or it could be very obviously a message from spirit, something very clear. This can also create profound spiritual transformation and experiences, profound meditative experiences. This house is also one of our houses of meditation. So if you meditate already, you might have a profound experience. You might find a new way of meditating, a new practice. If you're new to meditating, this could be your opening. I personally think that anyone who meditates every day has an easier experience in life, because your connection with spirit is your anchor in this ever-changing world. And so when you meditate every day, you're laying this groundwork for your connection to spirit that can become an unshakable anchor as the things around us in the material realm continue to change. So a new relationship with your unconscious mind. I love this transit for using the information that masters have passed on to us, either from the psychological or spiritual perspective, to improve life. I remember in my 20s when I started first becoming aware of things beyond what my mainstream upbringing were showing me, I was able to connect with the work with affirmations and using your subconscious mind consciously to create things, and became a very powerful conscious co-creator at that time because of the insights that I had. And it's very possible that you can have that happen where you become aware of your own power, that the seed of your empowerment actually lies within your accountability of your life, stopping blaming others or circumstances for you not being able to move forward in something. The power is within you, and this house encapsulates that energy. There could be something very tangible about this idea of an attic, where you could find something that was hidden that comes to light. So it could be a secret that comes to light. It could also be a tangible item, like you're cleaning out a relative's attic and you find something of value there, or a secret that now changes things, you know? So there's this energy of darkness, things coming to light that were dark, messages, insights, secrets coming out, information coming in, and radical new directions having to do with anything in this house. So it's a very exciting time. So I want to talk in more detail about the individual transits, what days we have what transits, and some themes that are coming up this month that will be important for you to know in order to consciously utilize the energies in the best way. My intention for these videos is to help you understand the energies more so that you can consciously use them for improving your life. And the more you know, the more you can do that. So I want to give you more details about the dates that different things are going on. So we'll go into all that now. So the theme for the month for February 2018 for all signs is Radical New Directions. This is compliments of our solar eclipse that is the highlight of this month, which takes place on February 15th. And it's at 27 degrees of Aquarius. We've been talking about these eclipses for a while. First of all, because as long as we are in an eclipse cycle, news can come in that is eclipse related. So that means from beginning of 2017 through well into 2019, movement along these Leo Aquarius fronts, so anything in the Leo and Aquarian realms, and anything along the houses where it's hitting for each sign, can come through at any point in the eclipse cycle. It's just when the actual eclipses are happening, and then the 4 to 6, even 8 weeks before, and in some cases after, they're like hot spots on a timeline of a story that is ongoing. So sometimes I get asked the question, can I have eclipse news come in sooner than 6 weeks before the actual eclipse? The answer is yes. I actually just myself this week had something very clearly, and I'm recording this in the middle of December, very clearly had a solar eclipse in February manifestation starting to come through in the middle of December. So the eclipse times and the times right before and after are hot spots where there's an increase in frequency of eclipse related news. But if you look more closely, you'll see that this story that's going on is in motion behind the scenes to some degree for the whole time of the eclipse cycle. So, radical new directions for this period of time. We have major trajectory changes as a common outcome of eclipses. So we're remembering that an eclipse as an astronomical event takes place on one day. An eclipse as an astrological event is an ongoing cycle of a story. So we're looking for hot spots or major news or things to come through around eclipse time because the frequency and the probability is increased. So that's why around this period of time, you'll be likely having the effects of the solar eclipse. So the lunar eclipse that happened at the end of January, we're still very much in a hot spot for that. So closings, endings, completions, things coming to fruition in a big way that you've been working on. Those energies can still come into February, even though the highlight of the month astrologically is the new moon. So the new moon solar eclipse brings in new opportunities, new windows, new doors, new possibilities. And sometimes they're in line with things you've been working on, but sometimes they seem to come out of the blue. So look for this news, but usually it won't be too hard to find. But at the same time, sometimes there are things going on the more subtle levels that are only aware to the seeker. You know, if you're looking for it, you could go through an eclipse season and think, well, gosh, nothing happened at all. But if you're really looking, you'll definitely see at least subtle changes in the story that's going on. So there will be major impetus to move forward, and the stars are right in general for new directions because we don't have any personal planets retrograde this month of February. But at the same time, I describe a lot of what else is going on in February as mischievous. You know, there are aspects that can definitely serve as hindrances to moving forward. So while I'm giving you the report about this green light for moving forward, if you're intuitively not feeling like you should say yes to something or that you should do something, then you have to honor that. And there might be reality checks or things to make you look or dig deeper throughout this month. And we'll go into more details about each of those aspects and what days they are and what they can bring. But just to kind of understand this month better, green light's on for moving forward, but lots of hindrances that could bring hesitation or doubt. There could be something very clearly that you're supposed to say yes to, but that yes can also still have uncertainty where it's awkward and it's new and you're not sure or you're scared, but still you have a clear yes. One of the most important things to figure out this month, really, really imperative, to tell the difference between self-sabotaging reluctance and, which comes from fear, which would require some use of will to push through, and an actual just intuitive push saying, no, it's not time. So the resistance to change is going to be very strong at this time, just as the possibility for change is standing there. So you really, really have to tune in and figure out, are you not moving forward because intuitively you're supposed to hold off because maybe the retrogrades for the rest of the year are going to change what you would have done or would have launched? Or is it something you have to push through? You know, and only you can know the answer to that. So besides the eclipse, we've got tons of energy in Aquarius. Besides the new moon and solar eclipse, we've got lots of planets moving through that sign, so the Aquarian realms will be lit up in major ways. So anything that involves teaching, leading, or participating in groups, anything that has to do with friendships or social media or social circles, involvement with humanitarian efforts, connections with or working for large organizations. It also has to do with anything that has to do with the internet or internet-based projects or technology or futuristic thinking, patents and things like that. You could see a lot of activity in your friend realm, you know, friends coming in, friends leaving, drama with friends, opportunities with friends, networking possibilities. Whenever the planets are in Aquarius, it's usually a pretty good time to be networking in some way. So just feel into how that could be appropriate for you. So towards the end of the month, we've got the planets starting to move into Pisces, and that brings a totally different feel. This is the Pisces rules the domain of the intuitive, of the introspective, of the artistic, of the abstract, of the romantic, of the poetic. So we move at some point in the month, about 3/4 of the way through, it starts to get more leaning towards the Pisces energy, but we move from this mental air sign of Aquarius and air energy of thinking to feeling. So I'm going to talk about the individual transits, the dates that they're going to happen, and things that I think are important for you to know to best utilize them. If you'd like a written report of what I'm explaining here in this general transit, then you can sign up for my free email newsletter at anniehelpsyou.com. When you sign up at anniehelpsyou.com, you get my monthly newsletter a month early so that you can see the dates and the energies at play written and not just in the video version. So on February 3rd, we have Mercury in Aquarius making a 60-degree angle to Mars in Sagittarius. This is a very favorable angle. So the good vibes are easy flowing now as these two very easygoing signs are getting together in a great aspect. So this is a great time for dreaming big and expressing ideas in a big way. At the same time, and you can see what I mean about this mischievousness, in January, if you're watching this early, then you can understand what I'm talking about from being in the energy of January. But January has a lot of green lights to move forward with less of the mischievous hindrances. February has lots of green lights and energy for going forward, but at the same time, it has these hindrances that I talked about. And here's a good example of this. So on February 3rd through the 4th, we have Venus in Aquarius making a square to Jupiter in Scorpio. We have 3 squares with personal planets to Jupiter this month, and that is part of what's making this theme where Jupiter's trying to expand something, but the square formation is causing a block or causing something to push through or causing questions or causing stopping. So freedom and commitment may come into conflict at this time. The aspect can also bring challenges to love, money, or expression. And it is important to note, though, that even though it will show up, these blocks will show up, they're also with Jupiter, and Jupiter is known as the Great Benefic. So any difficult angle to this planet tends to be softer than the difficult angles to other planets. So we have that going for us this month. On February 6th, we have another beautiful aspect, Venus in Aquarius making a 60-degree angle to Uranus in Aries. So we can have boosts to social life, love life, finances, artistic expression. This is a great aspect for making money decisions or launching something new in business or love. So whenever we've got, kind of these thumbs up, thumbs down energies that are rolling around each other as they tend to be, you sort of just have to feel your way through it, because I give you the date of February 6th that this aspect is happening, but you could feel this aspect and a green light days before or even after, because the expression of the aspect doesn't just happen on that day for most of these aspects. So, you just kind of have to know what's going on and then feel your way around and look for your own intuitive push for your striking points. On February 10th, we have a second square with Jupiter. The Sun in Aquarius is squaring Jupiter in Scorpio. So this comes with a tendency to overdo. So here I am telling you, try to get everything you can done this month, right? Because the wall of retrogrades starting March 8th is going to descend upon us very quickly. So yes, it's true. We do want to do a lot this month. And yes, it's true that a transit like this could cause us to overdo and become tired or become frazzled. So it can also cause us to overpromise. So definitely look out around this time for the opportunity to be conservative with your commitments, because you may be trying big, but if you scale down what you promise compared to what you're intending, then you won't have the stress of trying to pull through something that might not ever get up to the level that you promised. Something else important that I want to note that's happening in March but is relevant for now is that on that same day that our personal planet retrograde absence stops, so basically we are free from personal planets being retrograde and their shadow periods until March 8th. Then we start to descend into Mercury retrograde, then we'll go into Mars retrograde, then we'll go into Mercury retrograde, then we'll go into Venus retrograde. But on March 8th, Jupiter also goes retrograde. And Jupiter is our green light planet. It's our go, 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 expansion, optimism planet. So even though this is extra relevant for Sagittarius, it's relevant for everybody trying to do anything. So this is another reason, if you feel if the intuition feels on board for pushing forward this month, to really just push through and do extra work this month, because you want to get your projects out before Jupiter goes retrograde. And it will be retrograde for several, like 3 to 4 months. So February 13th, there is our third square to Jupiter, and this is in the form of Mercury and Aquarius making a square to Jupiter. So these energies combined can bring difficulty in concentration which is even more challenging because this is a time when Mercury is squaring Jupiter. It's a time when the universe is asking you to pay more attention to the details that are involved in your big vision projects. So just at the time that you have to pay more attention to the details, you have a challenge in concentrating on the details. So it would be a good time to enlist some help with people who are really good at that, or just some extra eyes to support you. This can also come with a tendency to overestimate your capacity to follow through with something you're promising. So you can see this trend whenever anything is squaring Jupiter, there is a tendency to overpromise. On the same day, February 13th, and you notice that all of this is going on around the Valentine's Day time, we have a mitigating, awesome transit with the Sun in Aquarius making a very favorable angle to Uranus. So there is a little bit of dicey energy around Valentine's Day, but there is also some very supportive energy around Valentine's Day. So this Sun aspect with Uranus can bring progressive solutions. It can also bring internet-based projects and community-minding plans to move forward. Group or team focus expands in a wonderful way. If you're looking for a time to try to, pop the question, I still think that there's a lot of good energy around this time, and this aspect can be very supportive because Uranus is future thinking, and of course when you're getting married or trying to move forward on any project, we're thinking about the future. So there is lots of good energy around moving forward. Just kind of feel your way through it, and if you're planning to pop the question and it doesn't feel right, then give it a day or something. You might feel the energies even after a couple of hours shift. So just feel your way through this. On February 15th, we also have the new moon in Aquarius, and this is an amazing energy for new things. It's also the solar eclipse. In general, I try to space things away from the exact day of the solar eclipse, which is on the 15th, because that carries a specific intensity with it. But you'll see radical new directions opening up from this eclipse, and this magical aspect also has additional support from the planets because Mercury is making a 60-degree angle to Uranus, and it can enhance communication and expression and also find futuristic resolutions, as we just discussed. It also can bring positive outcomes from, so basically a solution for an old problem, something that's been going on for a while. You can figure out a solution for that, or the odds are more likely. Also, Venus in Pisces is making a nice angle to Saturn in Sag, and this can help bring abstract ideas into form in wonderful ways. So there's a massive amount of energy around this new moon that is really supportive for moving forward. On February 17th, we also have the Sun in Aquarius making a conjunction to Mercury in Aquarius. So your mental powers will expand at this time. The capacity to intellectualize, to brainstorm, and again, community-based projects, internet projects, anything Aquarian related can get a boost, social media, etc. On February 21st, you can see these energies are very quickly moving into this feeling energy. Venus in Pisces is making a conjunction to Neptune in Pisces. So boundaries can tend to blur during this transit, for better and worse. Romance can flourish at this time. Emotional spending is more likely, but it can be worthwhile. If you're clear enough, if you feel clear enough to make good decisions, you could get some things that really add to the beauty and emotional substance of your life. And by the way, this whole month is really great in general for making important purchases. If you feel your way through and it feels like it's the right move for you. Phones, cars, making decisions, starting programs, launching anything. This is one of the best months of the year for pushing things forward in a big way. So you definitely want to take advantage of that. Something else that is great at this transit on the 21st with Venus and Neptune is it's wonderful for artists and art-related projects. So on the 25th, we have Venus in Pisces squaring Mars in Sag. So this can be a little bit of a bummer. Emotional longing may be met with emotionless and detached reflections, okay, which doesn't usually feel good. But this is a really good time to remember that the only constant that we can trust is our connection with spirit, and not the fickleness of the material realms. So when we have a transit like this that can be a little bit disappointing or a little bit confusing, it serves to fuel our spiritual work in the way that whenever we put our dependence of happiness in something outside of ourselves in an ever-changing world, you know, we're on a planet that's moving, that's spinning, but it's also moving, and then it's also moving within that moving, and then it's in a solar system that's moving, in a universe that's moving, you know, everything is moving. So the only thing that's constant is our connection to spirit, that all that is. And this is an amazing transit to reiterate that into our being and to be able to find happiness beyond what our circumstances are. At this same time, we have Mercury in Pisces making a conjunction with Neptune. So this combination can be amazing for romance and emotional connections. Alternatively, and especially because of the square that is also happening this day, it can cause confusion or deception. So just again, tune in and trust your gut feelings in deeper ways. On the same day, the 25th, this is a very powerful time in the cosmos, lots going on. We've got the Sun in Pisces making a beautiful aspect to Saturn in Capricorn, which is a great time for abstract ideas taking shape beautifully and rough edges being softened with great outcomes. You know, whenever we have energies of water and energies of earth coming together in a beautiful aspect, it gives us the opportunity to blend art and function. On the 27th, we have an awesome aspect with Venus in Pisces making a 60-degree angle to Pluto in Capricorn. I want to take a second now to note, you've noticed I've said 60-degree angle quite a few times in this report. That means that there is a strong story of this 60-degree angle. And 60-degree angles are positive, supportive aspects, but they usually involve you having to take action on something. They're a little bit different than a trine. Trines tend to just bring things in, and yes, you can take action on those beautiful aspects also, but this 60-degree angle really wants you to do something. And the way I always describe this is like, let's say you want a peach pie, right? And you have all the ingredients for the pie on your counter, and then you're like, why don't I have a peach pie? Everything is there, right? Well, you have to use the ingredients to make the pie. So you might have to do something active with these 60-degree angles to be able to get the better aspect. But they're full of opportunities. So on the 27th, we've got this Venus in Pisces, 60-degree angle to Pluto in Capricorn. So again, you see this theme of artistic flow, receiving great support, tangible support, material support. Look for ways to bring intuition and practicality together. So you've heard me say something like that a few times, and that's because of this blending of water energies and earth energies as a little bit of a pattern this month. On the 28th, we have Mercury in Pisces making a square to Mars in Sag. So be on guard for misunderstandings at this time. Unclear communications can bring challenges and conflicts, and it may be hard to express feelings at this time, or it could just be that deadlines could create creativity blocks. You know, Mars in Sag wants to go, go, go and be everywhere at the same time and do everything at the same time, but Mercury in Pisces is more of a slower, emotional, quiet, soft moving energy, you know? So whenever those two conflicting energies come in, you can see there might be some conflicts there. Also on February 28th, we have a beautiful aspect with Mercury in Pisces making a 60-degree angle with Pluto in Capricorn. So compassionate communication can result in great strides at this time. So adding art to function is a great way to use this energy also. I love the book, Marshall Rosenberg's book, Nonviolent Communication, for everything, for always. But when we have aspects or combinations like this where there's so much softness and feeling coming into connection with a different type of energy, you know, the more we can tune in and really put ourselves in the place of someone that we're communicating with and look at it from their perspective, there's a tremendous amount of healing that can occur with that. So these are the things that are most on my mind this month for the general transits. Definitely go to my website, anniehelpsyou.com, see what's new in my blogs. Also, sign up for my free email newsletter to get your monthly write-up and more. Definitely go to cozybysweetstarlight.com to get your written monthly horoscope for each sign. That's something new that I've never done before, but I am doing it on my new site, Cozy by Sweet Starlight, along with great reads for each sign and lots of blog headers for your comfy, cozy life, Astrology Kissed Life. Then check out my husband, B.R. Newman's tarot scopes to get more information about what could be in store for you at iamhelios.com, iamhelios.com. So I hope you have a wonderful month. Check out my astrology apprenticeship program if you would love to learn astrology with me, and I'll see you next month.